What's up, y'all? Garol's back. Today we have a really long warehouse alert. We're going to start off with our favorite, Fender Custom Shop, and specifically Fender Custom Shop basses, and more specifically Fender Custom Shop Bass 6s. So as you know, 6-string bass, 3 single coils. The thing that's special about this one is it's in faded and aged Sherwood Green, metallic, with the Journeyman relic. So these are cool, unbound neck and dots on this one, just like that other white bass that we have. Got the mute and all. Check that out. So next up we have another Fender Custom Shop bass. This one is a precision bass, which you can't see because it's got the pickup cover and the bridge cover on it. 3-tone sunburst, shell pick guard. The thing that's different about this one is that it's a precision bass with a jazz bass neck. So it has that jazz bass nut width and neck profile. It has a bound neck and block inlays, just like those mid-60s jazz bass had. And then also the lollipop tuners. You got the strap button there and there as well, just like those vintage basses. As you can see, this one's heavily relicked, so it's got that really cool wear down to like the sunburst finish and stuff that you can see throughout it. So now we're going to move over to a couple of guitars from our friends at the Tom Anderson Guitar Works. This one is actually a reorder from one of the first guitars that I had actually spec'd out when I was still in sales a couple of years ago. So I was able to, through the Tom Anderson configurator, place an order for this guitar, which we ordered for store stock at the time. This is a very close copy of it. It has a walnut top, which is figured with this cool burst. The binding was taped off, or sort of like faux binding. It looks like binding, but it's actually the maple top. Nice dark tint to the back. As you can see, it's a hardtail bridge with a sort of like HS configuration. You got a 5-way switch here, all those kind of electronic features that Anderson's known for. Solid rosewood neck on this one, which is one of my favorite specs. I think this one has a 50s V neck shape to it. Really cool guitar, locking tuners, all that good stuff. The next one up is pretty cool. So it's a kind of satin mahogany body that's natural. The sort of nice deep contours that the Tom Andersons are known for on the horns and the neck joint. This one's cool because it's kind of an AHSS configuration. You got a P90 style pickup in the neck, single coil in the middle, and the humbucker in the bridge. You got some cool electronic features with the switch and all that stuff. A recessed baby Floyd, which is non-adjustable, kind of like the earliest iterations of the Floyd Rose. But then you do have the locking tuners to go with it to keep you in tune, and again, solid rosewood neck. You guys can tell what I like by these, can't you? So next up, we have a guitar made from white Limba, also known as Karina. So when they got into contact with me and told me that they had limited supplies of Karina available, I came up with a couple of different designs. One of the first ones that I thought of, though, was what if you had like a single cut slab body guitar, but with a tremolo and an HS setup. You got a 3-way switch, volume and tone. As you can see, it's kind of that cool white Limba look to it. Again, the contoured heel, bolt-on neck. It's got a Karina neck as well, locking tuners with the sort of like vintage style buttons. Classic rosewood fingerboard with dots. This is a really cool one. We probably won't be able to get another like it, so act fast. Call up. Next up, we have another bolt-on neck guitar from our friends at PRS down in Maryland. So this one is a CE24 semi-hollow. As you can see, it has the F-hole, beautiful flame maple top, the nice shallow top carve that the CEs have. You have the PRS tremolo, 2 humbucking pickups, which you can coil tap, 3-way switch. Take a look at the finish on the back. And as you can see, the maple neck, it's got the long neck heel on it, PRS locking tuners, and then the birds in Ivoroid, which is one of my favorite looks on a PRS guitar. So next up, we have another bolt-on PRS, yet this one was manufactured by the Cortec facility in Indonesia on behalf of PRS for their SE line. It is the signature model for our old friend, Mr. John Mayer. So we've been waiting to get in the Silver Sky SE in this finish, which is Dragon Fruit. We have a lot of pre-orders against it, so if you have a pre-order in place, keep an eye out for that tracking number. They'll be shipping out this week. And then if you don't, we only have a few of them left after all those pre-orders are fulfilled, so you better slap that link pretty quick. Again, Ivoroid birds up the rosewood board on a maple neck. The reverse PRS style headstock. Really cool guitar. So next up in today's long list of warehouse alerts is a guitar from one of my favorites, the CF Martin Guitar Company out in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. So this is a guitar from their Authentic series that's been updated for this year. It's a 1937 D28 Authentic, and they've begun using Honduran rosewood for the back and sides this year. As you can see, it has the authentic back purfling, beautiful Ivoroid heel cap and binding on the back, as well as the top, which brings us to the beautiful herringbone top purfling here, which they use maple and I believe ebony or rosewood for that as well. Adirondack spruce VTS top with Adirondack spruce bracing, all high glue construction. You have the belly bridge with the authentic, correct long saddle. As you can see, it goes end to end there in the slots. Ebony fingerboard, with the 21 diamonds and squares up to the headstock with the authentic logo on it. And this one's got a nice big authentic neck profile, that 1937 V shape. If you haven't tried one of these guitars and you're into high-end acoustics, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. So next up, if you want something with a little more sort of shine on it, you have the D41, which is pearl, top purfling, and sound hole rosette, as opposed to the herringbone and that authentic we just saw. This one's a little bit different because it has an amber tone finish, which I think really helps that pearl to pop out. Indian rosewood back and sides. It's got the nicer back purfling on it. The other thing that's cool about this one is it's got the 41 style hexagons up the neck, which is bound, as well as the bound headstock with the block logo inlay, CF and Martin and abalone as well. These amber tone ones don't stick around very long, so if you like it, call up. So we have another rosewood dreadnought, but this one's a little bit different from the other two that I just showed. This one's a D35. So what that means is that it's a 3-piece back. This model initially came into production in the late 60s as they began to run out of Brazilian rosewood. They started using the Brazilian rosewood on the center strip, and the sides, I believe, moved to East Indian rosewood. They're still building them, albeit with East Indian rosewood for all the pieces. The thing that's cool about this one is you got that extra back purfling since it's a 3-piece back. This does look like it's maple and rosewood as well. The other thing that's cool is not only do you have the binding, but you have purfling along the sides of the guitar and the top as well. This one's in this really pleasing tobacco sunburst finish, tortoiseshell, large pickguard. The other thing that's really cool about this particular guitar is you have an ebony bridge and fingerboard that are kind of figured. There's some variegation in there. So you got like kind of stripey ebony there, up the board, which is dot inlaid, which is very much a late 60s Martin spec. Bound neck, unbound headstock with that classic gold Martin logo. And again, period correct to the late 60s would be Grover tuners, which are the barrel style tuners. So they actually don't touch the back of the headstock like that. These are really cool. Not many folks keep them on their radar. I would highly recommend checking one out though. And now we're going to bounce back to electric guitars. We have a Fender Stratocaster from the Custom Shop. This one is a 1967 reissue, and this one's a little bit of historical fiction. What if someone took a 67 Inca silver guitar later on in like the 80s or 90s when a silver guitar might not have been as cool as a sick black one and refinished it over that original finish, but then years of play wear started to expose that. But the surprise here is what if it had a matching headstock that they bothered not to paint over? So this is a really cool kind of configuration. The undercoat is matching the headstock. I think that looks really sick. The other 67 features that this one has is a bound neck with the pearl dot inlays on it, the larger 67 logo and headstock. Really cool guitar. Plays super well. Check that one out also. Next up, we got Batman's guitar. That would be the Dark Knight finished American Pro 2 Telecaster. Sort of like this reverse blue burst where it's darker and sparkly in the middle, more of a kind of like blue metallic finish on the perimeter. So the American Pro 2 is a very modern guitar. You have the contoured neck heel, the more modern bridge plate, which is kind of cut away, and bridge saddles, which sort of are like rounded on the edges. Really cool. Nice flat radius, big frets up the neck to the modern tuners, which function really well. We wait a long time to get these in, so if you're looking for one, you better act fast as well. Next up, we have a Kirk Hammett Signature Alert. So this is the KH2, which is his model with ESP. This is the big boy one, the ESP Japan made. Neck through. It's got his signature EMG pickups, signature skull inlays up the fretboard. There's the ESP logo on the reverse headstock. These also take a long while to come in, so I know I keep saying act fast, but I'm not lying. All right, and last but most certainly not least, we have a restock on the EVH Shark. I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be making these guitars, considering all the features that you get on it. Obviously, the iconic Shark body shape. You got that harmonica-style bridge, double cream bridge pickup, brass switch plate there with the visible wire through it, brass nut, which I think is really cool, the mismatched tuners just like the original had, and obviously that really sick stripe graphic here. If you don't have one of these in your EVH collection, you better add one to it today. So that's it for today's warehouse alerts. There were a whole lot of them. If you're off on Friday, we are not. So you better schedule an appointment to come in and see any of these guitars if you're local. If not, you can call up or click and we'll get these shipped out for you ASAP. Buy yourself a little gift for Black Friday.